I'm Argentinian of Armenian origin. My grandparents escaped the genocide, ended up in Argentina. I'm second generation Argentina, born in Buenos Aires. I lived in the US a big part of my life, and now I live in Europe. The high school I went to, they taught us electronics. Back then, it was discrete electronics. The microprocessors were barely appearing. So part of the curricula, we had to build our own equipment. At age 15, I knew I wanted to be a sound engineer. I never wanted to be a musician. Some engineers wanted to be musicians, they couldn't make it or they didn't want it, and then they changed to sound engineering. My case was always sound engineer, never wanted to be a musician, because I knew my capabilities laid in the technical part. So I was building my own equipment in high school, and then at 17, I did my first job. One of my teachers had a small PA company and sound speaker and sound company and lights, and we did this school show. And that was when I knew, I said, I'm going to do this the rest of my life. That was the moment. Fast forward, I studied, and I was self-taught, autodidact. Back then, there was no university for sound. There was certain courses you could do. I did everything. I was subscribed to back then you had to subscribe by mail. This is before the internet. You sent a letter to a factory in America that built microphones, and you say, I want to know more about your microphones, and they would send you a catalog by post. So everything took long. But I remember at one point I was receiving piles of mails every day because I was writing to every single factory in the universe that made anything related to audio, because there was no way to learn. You couldn't know about anything. Imagine back in Buenos Aires, there's no internet, there's no libraries, don't have any books. Now they do, but before there wasn't nothing. I was visiting recording studios to try to know what they were, because I wasn't sure what they even were, what they had. And eventually I studied in recording academy that had just opened. And then I was the top in the class, and I got the job in a classical recording studio, the big one there that doesn't exist anymore, and as an audio assistant. But the trick was that there was no payment. There's entrance hours, but there's no exit hours. So some days we leave at 7 p.m., that was an easy day. Sometimes we left 2 in the morning. So I got used very quickly to long days, and that's something that a sound engineer, if the ones that are here, there's a lot of long days, a lot. And especially if you're recording, you have to repeat. You need a color, you need a sound, you need to get it. So time is not relevant. It comes to a point in your career, time is not relevant. You need to get the job done good and well, because it's going to stay there forever, whatever it takes, right? So I was riding my bicycle, I didn't get money. I was living with my parents back then, so they were kind enough to feed me while I was there. I've eventually found a job with a live sound company, and they were offering a payment. That's another story how I got there, because I used to work for them on the weekends. When the studio was closed, I used to work for them on the weekends for free. And I would load and unload their trucks, help them, because there was a group of people, for free. My only payment was that they would allow me to stay during the setup so I could watch, but I couldn't touch anything. That was another good deal that I did. I think they were very good deals, although I didn't get paid on it. And those were my 2 first deals. They were great because I put my foot in the door. So on the weekends, weekdays was the studio, weekends was doing some live shows. Eventually they hired me, they started to pay me a small amount, and that started to grow. They offered me a position. I left the studio because I wanted to see the world and travel. Then I went to study to the US, sound design, which is a branch of live music, live sound engineering. There's a specific thing called sound system design. And that's when you learn how to make big sound systems, let's say in an arena, in a stadium, in a basketball field, in a football field, in different occasions. We're talking about a very large sound system with hundreds of speakers and delay towers and processing and fiber optic rings and all sorts of things. And that became my specialty. And with that, I toured the planet extensively with big names of pop, rock, hip hop. But I always loved classical music, always, since my early 20s. And opera in particular. I'm an opera person. Well, I started the label with a business partner. She's a soprano, Marina Rebecca. She's a very famous soprano. And we bought our equipment and we started making recordings.